Yes. Um, Welcome to Come Well into another episode, another doorway, another portal, entitled "Am I as I am, as you are?" I am your host, Blue Amias, aka Amias Azium, and today's video cast we're going to be briefly touching upon this. What is a moment? There will be a part two to this. But let's just slightly briefly touch upon what is this thing that we call a moment. What is a moment? Um, what's inside of a moment? What's the purpose of a moment? And of course, you already know the format and how we go along. We take it line for line, the doorway after doorway, and together we walk down this hallway. Okay? So, this will only be for a quick moment that we're going to build upon this at the moment. First line and or doorway is: it is the only space and slot in existence that you only have to both lose your cool and immediately regain your composure. It's the only space in existence where your so-called highs and lows exist at. A moment is basically all that is. Completely. Totally. What are you doing with your moments? Because when you're not in your moment, you're giving birth to time, or you're letting time be in a place, in a slot where it has no business being and doesn't really truly exist at. I mentioned before in the podcast I had a year or two ago, time and age are two different things. The mind is in age, spirit is in age, the body is in time. So I'm saying that to say this is that if the body is already in time and the spirit is of the moment, which is not in time, why are you letting time double itself? Time is of the body. Time has no business being within your moment. So when you're not in your moment and you move out of your moment, time appears. And time will settle in. And the more that happens, the more you kind of increase the chance to lose your cool. And as that time stretches, you lose the opportunity to, or it becomes more challenging to get back the opportunity to regain your composure again. So like I said, it's the only space and slot in existence that you have to both lose your cool and immediately regain your composure. It's the only space in existence where your so-called highs and lows truly exist at. Whatever you're doing, wherever you find yourself involved in, it takes place. All things take place in the moment. Whether you recognize it, realize it or not, that's what's truly going on. So when you lose your cool, when you let time start to settle in and you're out of your moment, you have to make it back to that moment, to be that moment again, to regain your composure. And the longer you take to return back to that moment, the more time settles in, the more it becomes more difficult or challenging for you to return back to your live moment, to your nowness, to your presence, to your present moment, to your presence. And within that time frame, now that moment is eliminated out the equation. So within that time frame or that time gap, things happen. other things start happening. It goes from a disagreement between your partner, you and your partner, or your mates, or your wife, or your husband, or your man. And you're leaving space for other lower aspects to appear and pop up in that time gap. Goes from disagreements, to raising the voices, to yelling, to screaming, and it can only get lower from that point. Um, Goes into verbal abuse, physical abuse, and even possible death. All because either you or her or you or him did not claim your moment again. You didn't win back your moment. You didn't take it back. You didn't get back into the slot of being live, true liveliness. To be live is to live. So you are not living. You're actually dying. Screaming, yelling, breakups, divorces. These things only cause more toxicity in the bloodstream. You are actually poisoning yourself. And if you want to remain in this body as long as possible, as long as you possibly can, for whatever reason and purpose, then that wouldn't be wise to commit that action or to make that move. So other things as well, like silent treatments, when you know that you actually want to talk and interact with your significant other and you're not doing it. You're holding yourself back, which means that you're also being absent from your moments. The more you're absent from your moment, the more you give time for sickness, illness, ailments, and imbalance to creep in and to take over your body and your mind. And the more it does that, the more it becomes more challenging to return back to that moment. So just be aware of that and have awareness on that. Have awareness with that. The next line and or doorway is an awareness, acknowledgement, and wisdom of a moment and a consideration of possibilities and things to factor in within a present conflict or present friction being dealt with within that moment ultimately brings out an immediate balance within self. So an awareness, an acknowledgement, and a wisdom of a moment. And also having a consideration of possibilities that you may actually be wrong and incorrect. You have things to factor in. You are science-minded, And science is nothing but seance. Seance is something spiritual. You are spirit. So you are science-minded or seance-minded, whether you know it or not. Which means that you have to factor in other possibilities. Other possibilities. It can't be, oh, that person's right, or that, I'm right and they're wrong completely. Okay, we're going to have to do this video another time.